has been crazy, just wanna be okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me. Everything's changing, just trying to navigate. Oh, I keep on believing I'm gonna find my way with it every day. I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me, me, me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me.
Let's do this first so that I know y'all can hear me. Hi, Keely Dawn, FH Umpires, you're the third team, and this is What Up Wednesday. And I had an eye out on my mic because, there was a thing. Things, when you go away for a bit, you change your setup, you're plugging back into everything, and sometimes it's a little off. And that's exactly what I'm experiencing right now. So I'm going to see what I can figure out here while y'all are saying hello. It's so good to see you. I saw a few names that I haven't seen for a while, like George Deves, good to see you, and Brian Riddle. Holy smokes. Very happy to see you as well. Device missing. Let's see if I can fix this really fast. I mean, why not? On the fly, this is what I do. And I saw a few people that I noticed from the time over in the UK that I got to spend some time with, like Jeanette and Godders and so many other people there. So yeah, interesting. Okay, it looks like I'm not going to be able to play sound effects. Wah, wah. I'll just have to make them. Ah, that's the way it goes. Oh, here we go. Boo. Hi. And Simon. But I'm really excited about Boo. So whatever. I had such a cool time when I was out there. Oh, I'm already starting to talk about the thing that I plan to talk about later. My run of show is right in front of me and I'm defying it. But I had such a nice time hanging out with y'all that, it makes me think about how much I'd like to spend more time doing things like that, like coaching and all that. So there you go. Stefan is here as well, and all the other folks that I saw already. So, you know what's going to happen here? I know exactly what's going to happen here. I'm going to play the topics screen, and it's going to be off. But watch this. I'm going to do it on the fly. Ready? Topics. No, this one. Here we go. Hi. A DM roundup. I've got a few scenarios from DMs. We're going to look at a goal video review for ball placement and a PC for a tackle from behind, because why shouldn't we go through all of those fantastic scenarios? As well, I'm going to give some shout outs and talk about how the UK tour went. I am so jet lagged, you guys. I have no idea what I'm saying. That's just what's happening here. It's just all that's going on. Okay, let's get into it and go through some of the things that accumulated in my DMs when, let's see, whilst I was away. Here we go. So this one was sent to me by Chris Niblock. Thank you very much for that. And I believe it made some of the rounds in the social medias. And the question that was posed to me from Mr. Niblock was, is this actually is this a drag? So let's have some ganders at this. There is a poll. I mean, it might work. It might not work, but I hope I set up the poll properly in Discord. All you have to do is get into the Discord server, and hopefully there's a few mods here that can help you out in case that's something that you haven't done before, and you can cast your vote as to what you think about this particular jam. This particular jam here, I'll show it in full frame again.
Slings it in the left corner, and we're knotted at 4. Penalty stroke was awarded.
Okay, we can hear a little bit of the sound there, but not too much. So this is obviously from NCAA play. Could have been preseason, I'm not sure. But they do start pretty early in the old US of A. So I think this was present. So let me know what your thoughts are on this one, because we have covered penalty strokes and drags before on the show. And I have some pretty strong feelings that I believe are empirically backable, that are driven by actual measurable, tangible things that make a difference in penalty strokes, and discard the elements that I believe do not. And so we can start going through the principles a little bit as y'all start with your comments, just waiting to see if anybody's jumping in here. But so what we're looking for is trying to define a term that isn't defined under the rules. A drag is not defined anywhere in the rule book. And given it's such a big call, that seems to be a little bit troublesome, but there you are. But as I've talked about in other dissections and other shows, the notion that a drag has to require some kind of pulling motion. If you go through English definitions of the word drag, everything requires or intimates or alludes to an object being from behind the body of the action taker and being pulled into it. That makes a lot of sense in the context of hockey, because a push is explicitly a stroke that is permitted at a penalty stroke. So the difference between a push and a drag could very well be, and I argue it's very clearly, a pulling motion. Now, what do we need to do in order to have a pulling motion? We need to take the ball from behind the body and drag it along the surface. So there's two elements that get people a little confused here and asking questions, which is totally fine. The one issue is the foot movement of the stroke taker, of the attacker. As she's going to play this ball, you see that she takes a few steps. Now, some years ago, we got rid of that whole, you could only take one step towards the ball. And the requirement that the stroke taker starts with 1 foot behind the ball is still in place. But it means that things look a little different. Things can look a little funky. A player could actually take a couple steps backwards and a couple steps forwards and they could do a grapevine, they could do a Charleston, they could do all kinds of crazy things in order to get themselves into their position. So long as they don't put themselves in a position where, in my view, they actually pull, or drag the ball. So that to me means that the right foot can be no further than in line with the ball, because that keeps the ball in line with the body. As soon as the right foot is in front of the ball as it's being picked up, that means that you are pulling or dragging the ball. The other thing that gets people a little bit confused, I think, or it confuses the issue, is that the ball is being picked up in many penalty strokes onto the stick and then flung off the stick. So the ball travels up the stick a little bit, travels down, it gets flung away, all that kind of thing, which some people believe is a drag. To me, that's simply a push. If that same motion, that ball traveling up and down the stick and being in full contact for a period of time before it's released, if that happened on the ground, we would still say that's a push. So if that's a push, it can't be a pull, so it can't be a drag. It's logic, friends. It's practically science. I'm just saying. So let's see what you all... Rabu thinks she drags it for a fairway. So I'd like to hear how, as I go into all this, perhaps you've changed your mind. Taco very intelligently goes back to something I said before. If the back foot is past the ball, it's a drag. Here, the camera makes it difficult to determine, though. It could be. It could be. And so if I look at the actual, let's see, your comments are getting really big, which is totally fine. I appreciate the big comments here. But I'm going to see if I can pause this right at the moment. Okay, this is right as she's taking the ball. Now, this is still, we're at an angle. We can't really see. And I think in these instances, if we're not certain that the ball is, or the right foot is ahead of the ball, we say it's in line. Just like with everything else, if we're not sure that a contravention of the rules has occurred, we say it's all good. So to me, when you look at all the other angles on the pitch and the lines and stuff like that, it looks pretty good. Let me know if you disagree. But if you do find that that right foot is in front, absolutely go ahead and deem that a drag. Yeah, there you go, Rabu. So it's that interesting reaction that we're having to the motion of the ball on the stick and the steps that the players are taking that tend to conflate things. But this is the principle behind it, I feel, is that we don't want players dragging the ball, because what happens is it gives them an unfair advantage as to where they're able to release it, which means that instead of releasing the ball at, I don't know, math's hard, maybe they're releasing it at, if the penalty stroke mark is at 9 meters away, they can release it at 8, because by the time they're taking it, it goes. But if they drag the ball, it means they can step in front and they can release that ball at 6 meters away, 7 meters, very close, which is an unfair advantage over the goalkeeper, who then, has no chance at stopping that ball whatsoever. So those are the things that I'm looking for. Simon here, back leg is not in front of the ball, believes it's level. So to us, it's not a drag. Excellent, because a drag has to come from behind the body. Absolutely. Hi, William. Good to see you. We didn't get a photo together. I feel really bummed about that. Gahan, if I'm saying that properly, please let me know. If I need to change my pronunciation, I'd love to hear it. Doesn't the ball seem to move forward off the spot first a short distance before it leaves the stick? So in effect, shortens the gap. It does. And that's a really good point, Gahan. It's one of those things that we say, yes, there is an advantage in that. But if you were the umpire on the pitch, if you're ever umpiring these kind of penalty stroke situations, how much contact is too much contact? How long of a duration is too long? You have absolutely no tools with which you can assess that. What turns into advantage or not? Because the whole nature of a push pass or a push stroke on the ball is that there is extended contact between the ball and the stick. Otherwise, it would be a hit, right? So there has to be some contact that stays the same. So where do we draw the line? We can't. We absolutely can't. But there's physically, if we go by where the foot placement is, we have it has to stop. How much? Because there's only so far that the human body can extend out with that ball on the stick. Does that make sense? To me, it's an impossible attempt to distinguish between degrees if we don't take a hard line with the foot placement that really does make a difference, that really does give an unfair advantage. Let me know what you think. You agree the leg foot. Sorry. I'm going to do this a lot today because I can barely talk. I'm so tired. Likely the back foot is level with the ball. The goal should be awarded for Taco. Okay, I hope you went and voted. Mabano, good to see you. Hi. And for Godders, it's a goal. No drag due to the rear foot. And yes, we'll get a photo next time. So good. I think that's probably the right thing. Let's go and have a look and see where y'all are at with the poll. If any of you voted. I wish I could take a look at this before I actually do to see what everybody says. Oh wait, tackle from behind. That's not the right one. VR for ball placement. Let's see. We have to go back to this. Oh, wow. 11 of you, 92% believe it is not a drag. Fantastic work, gang. I'm very happy with that. And for Chris, who sent that along, I hope that helps. And for everybody who were trying to get to the right answer on social media, I hope that helps you too. And it's goal for William. Excellent. Let's go to the next scenario because look at me adulting and being on time. This was an Instagram clip.
Child takes it 5 into the circle. Stroke. A penalty. Took the sharp shooting mark.
And I have the full version. Okay, so the Instagram post was Real Hockey, reposted by Boss
takes it
Boss
5
F
into the
Hockey.
circle. Stroke.
And I was able to track down the original clip.
Spain do not have their referral. They cannot.
Because we do have additional
Set
angles
this
here.
up to Kumbambuna. And Simon Child, the magician, weaves his magic again.
He's absolutely manufactured that with experience and guile.
I know. That's why I advocate for it.
He moves 5 meters into the D, sets himself up, draws the contact and goes to ground. You have to be so careful as a defender. There is contact on his hip.
I don't believe so.
As light as it may be. And the player that I picked out as being
Because
defensive.
the ball is not behind your body. So if it's not behind, you can't drag it. It's a bit of a linguistic, faff, but it's all we have because we don't have any other definition. And I'd love to see this become a definition inside the rules of hockey somehow. If only I had a friend that was on the rules committee. I've decided I'm going to start working on her. I'm going to see her tonight in a meeting, and I'm just going to start working on her. Solly, it's on. Okay, so this one spurred a lot of conversation, and so there's a lot of options in the poll. A lot of options that include things like taking an action against the attacker. And we can go through what it is that we find about this particular situation. This was, as you can tell, looking at the time of the game, the score, how much time's left. This ended up being, this is a big decision at this moment in the game. And there are a few things that are interesting about it, and I want to go through them before we get into actually trying to analyze the play itself, because remember, no drag zone. This is a no drag zone. We talk about these decisions in order to improve ourselves at our next outing. And one of the challenges you're going to be looking for, one of the one of the challenges that presents itself in this particular scenario is that the ball is moving away from the umpire in this moment at an angle that, given the body placement of the defender who is in most contact, there is a chasing defender who kind of reaches the stick in a little bit, but I don't think he makes any significant contact at all. So the main player we're looking at is the defender who's in front. And from the angle that the umpire is at, that would have been a very difficult decision to see. Now, remember that in terms of video referrals, which Spain did not have a team referral left at this point, that the umpire could elect here to take a self-referral because it is a incident that is leading to a penalty, stroke, or goal award. So this is a possibility in the mind. And you can see from the umpire's body language, he feels very confident in the decision that he's making in this moment. If it's us at home, I would consider that this might be a good moment to get together with your colleague. You're in a stop time situation anyway. You've got 20 seconds left in the game. And your colleague may have had a very good angle on this. And especially if they're doing MCP positioning, they were probably a bit more central on the pitch, but able to see the play and able to see more of the contact than perhaps you could as the controlling umpire as those players are going away from you. So we are no longer looping. I can tell what I didn't do when I set up all the scenes. So that's something that we can think about, I think, in this situation. Let's see what y'all are thinking, because obviously what we're looking at is we're looking for an intentional foul by the defender, a body obstruction that is in this instance would have led to the attacker being brought to the ground and then getting to that. And Rachel, it changed your mind on the second angle. And that's very interesting. That's one of the reasons why, as soon as Fraser alerted me to this play, I went to look for the original footage, because Instagram gives you this vertical aspect, which changes our focus, changes everything about it. Like, imagine if you were watching the game and you didn't have this whole big, broad sort of circle, but you only had a 9:16 aspect that moved, like this as you're making decisions. You would kind of suck. Like, your accuracy would be really bad because your perspective would be completely warped by those constraints. So I went to look for it, and seeing the original footage and being able to see all three angles that were available through the broadcast, I think certainly helped me to see what was going on there. But let's see. For William, it wasn't enough contact from the defender for that reaction. Matt Drazy, hi. You struggle with these situations. Dare you relate it to sports ball? A light touch and a big reaction, not really what we want to see in hockey. That is an excellent question. Let's see. The Plants are asking, did the ball even go 5 meters before entering the circle? If not, free hit defense. Interesting. Boo can't see a second foul from the defense, but it was the same player again. Okay. That's a really good question. Let me just have a look, because I hadn't even really considered that. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that qualifies as 5. So we're generally looking for about 4 steps by the players at this kind of height and range. It's the easiest way to detect how far the ball has traveled. If you'd only taken 3 steps, I'd say, nah, didn't quite qualify, because their steps are over 1 meter long. So the fact that he's got about 4 before the ball enters, I think you're probably okay. It would have been some interesting sort of geometry to do, though, in order to get to that. Jeanette, the fall looks Oscar-worthy. The nudge is on his right hip, but he falls on the left knee, so you're only able to see that in slow-mo. From the engaged umpire's angle, it's a big call either way. Yeah, absolutely. And a stroke is a big call. It's dubious. Yep, you're looking at that. You don't think it was. Sarab, hello. I hope I'm getting your name pronounced properly. You think it's a dive and the New Zealand player should get a card. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit at this point. I hope you've had a chance to vote on the Discord poll. So let's take that viewpoint that this is not sufficient contact to produce that reaction, and the New Zealand attackers conduct constitutes what we would say is a form of misconduct. Now, last week when we talked about the Spain and France incident where the Spanish player spit in the face of the French player, I had an opportunity to review the code of conduct quite a few times, because I got it wrong the first couple times I had a look at it. And that's why it's really important to go through the documentation and go a few times. You really do have to look at the rules carefully. So as I was looking, I did notice that feigning injury or feigning disadvantage in order to have a penalty awarded in your favor or personal penalties awarded against your opponents due to that supposed or alleged misconduct, it is a code of conduct violation. And I can't remember if it was level 1 or level 2. I think it was level 1. I should have looked at it again. If anybody wants to look it up for me while you're doing that, while I'm talking away, please feel free to do that. But despite the fact that it's in the code of conduct, it's no longer in the FAH umpires briefing. So this came about, I believe they put it in place for Tokyo, that there was a specific slide in there that showed a specific player who has specifically been seen to specifically dive in other situations. And the advice that was given in the briefing was that this kind of misconduct should be dealt with. And it didn't say exactly like it must be given a green card the first time or has to be yellow or anything like that. It just said, deal with it. And then that guidance disappeared. Given who it was and what federation that player belonged to, I would guess that there was some negative reaction to that particular player being singled out, but that's not the intention of a briefing with examples and clips, just like what we're doing right now. This isn't to single out Simon Child and say this guy dives. This is to say, here is an example of a form of behavior or conduct that we need to examine, and in future instances, what are we going to do about it? Okay. It's not even subtle. It's kind of a very big, important distinction. And we can't visually show things without actually showing examples. Like, it's impossible. So, slow your roll. It's not personal, friends. It's not personal. So I don't know why that was taken out of the briefing. I don't know if it will reappear, but it's definitely something that we would have to consider. Now, think about this. Dissent towards an umpire is not specifically mentioned in the rules. And many other forms, I was about to elucidate some different types, but I'm going to get myself into trouble if I do that. But a lot of the things that we would categorize as a general form of misconduct that we feel very comfortable knowing that if we need to card a player for that, we are perfectly entitled to do so. And we should, in fact, do so. I think that still gives us the room in the right circumstances. And I mean, when you are 100% positive that that's exactly what's gone on, that you could deal with that misconduct in that form. That's my personal belief. That is how I would coach it with anybody else. And for you, you need to consider whether that is going to be prevailing opinion in your area. It's worth having the conversation with all of your fellow association members. If you're in, say, South Central, you're going to rock up to Jeanette and Goddard's and all of the great leadership that you have there and ask the question, hey, how are we going to handle this as a team, as a group? Because you want that consistency throughout that league. And you'll take into account the briefings that have been given at levels above if that subject matter has been included. So Mario, the attacker, was shielding and backing into the defender. Well, I understand that that is a reaction that you can have in that moment. What you're going to want to consider, Mario, is the positioning of the defender. And if you look at it from this point of view, the ball is accessible, but the defender is choosing not to overcommit to the strong side because he doesn't want Childs spinning back and going strong side. He's trying to force him to stay on the reverse side so he could access this ball. I believe it is accessible. And if the attempt of the tackle had actually come in and he had failed to get it because there was a stick shield or a body shield because a leg all of a sudden stepped in the way of the ball right at that moment of attempting the tackle, I'd say spot on, Mari, you've got it. But I don't think it exists there. Excuse me. Godders, you're happy with the ball moving 5 meters and not a penalty stroke. There's a delay. And I get that too. And just to caution all of us as we're watching this in slow-mo again and again, is that we need to make sure that we're not getting our perspective too skewed by the slower speed at which we're watching it. I do think it's a fair comment, though, when you watch it in real time, that there is sort of a delay. But also think about that there are times when a player will be pushed off balance and it'll take them a stride or two before they aren't able to regain that balance. And then they do fall. So I'm just getting a little bit more empathy. For Taco, you can't see the contact really that warrants a penalty stroke. So either a penalty corner or a free hit defense if the third team thinks it's a football act. Okay, well, that's an interesting one because for it to be a free hit defense, then you have to see a foul committed by the attacker that disadvantages the Spanish defense. And I don't think that we have any scope under the rules for this. Because after the fall, the Spanish defender is able to pick up the ball. I mean, even if there was a foul that you could specifically find, there is a play on possibility there. And this Spanish defender has tons of room to roll. He's got that. So, Benno, you have a free hit defense. The attacker obstructs the defender with his foot leg. Ball wasn't on stick. But there has to be an attempt. There has to be an attempt at the ball by the defender that is blocked by an action by the attacker. And that doesn't exist here. Okay. So be very careful about pulling little catchphrases that you hear announcers say, or you might hear coaches say, or your peers say that, oh, if the ball's off the stick, it's a stick shield. Well, there's a lot of other things that need to take place. There has to be playable distance. There has to be an attempt at the tackle. There has to be that motion happens right at the time. That is not an attempt by the Spanish player to tackle right in that moment. It's not. It's not enough. Ooh, 6 aside. You're funky. And that's a level 1. Thank you very much. So that's a code of conduct violation if you deem a dive to be in there. Thank you very much, Alistair. That is a 2.2G level 1 code of conduct. Okay. Don't get carried away, friends. Okay. I'm trying to keep you, in that line. And I think it's a good thing to consider, but be very careful about how you're evaluating and what the actions of the players actually are. Okay. Because this Spanish player does not get around to tackle this ball. It is close, but it is not a stick shield. It is not a body shield. Let's see. From the cottage, defender didn't disengage 5 meters before re-engaging with the attacker, or are we saying that the ball moved 5? We are saying that the ball moved 5, I think. So the defender allowed the attacker to move 5 before re-engaging. Yeah, because they're allowed to channel within the circle. Big dog, stay on the porch, blow the whistle. Oh, somebody subscribed. Hey, Jahan, thank you very much. I was like, hey, sound effect coming through. So yes, that defender, because they're caught within the 5 meters, but because they are inside the circle and the free hit's taken outside, they're allowed to they're allowed to shadow. That's a bad misstatement of word. They're allowed to shadow within the circle for that whole 5 meters. Question. I like questions, Taco. Regarding the accessibility of the ball, are you referring to the defender on the back? Well, it depends on what you mean by the back and the front. I'm referring to the defender who is closer to the goal than the attacker is. So that front side defender, and the ball is accessible. The Spanish defender specifically is not running full out. He is coming in from that behind angle, which is why the umpire in this moment sees it being an intentional foul that takes the player to ground, because he's not coming. He's not trying to match up in front. He's chasing from there and he's cutting off there. You see that? He's like cutting into instead of coming around and reaching out for the ball. He doesn't reach for the ball, friends. He doesn't. It's not a stick block. It's not a body shield. Several lines being changed now. Well, I hope so. Okay, sorry. Sorry if I missed something. I try to keep everybody's thoughts in line, but I can't even keep my own. Let's see what you have, Jeanette. Although you've voted based on watching the slow-mo, you do think in the moment if you'd seen it, you might have been more likely to play on and tell him to get up and get on with it. That's totally fine. Yes, shadowing. Yeah, good. Hi, Aline. Good to see you. Defender wasn't 5 meters, but did not engage. Attacker had to move the ball sideways before entry, and defender allowed to shadow. Good, we got it. Okay, so for me, I also agree that the degree of contact here didn't disadvantage the defender. I don't see a foot from the defender, for example. And one of the things that you have to watch for is when a defender comes at this angle from behind, does their foot trip? Does their foot trip the player? And I'm going to try to scroll that really slowly. So I don't see foot-to-foot contact that could cause this kind of trip either. Okay. And a little ways back, my friend Ali Baggett, who is a PAF media officer, former Canadian women's national team player, and excellent umpire in her own right, was telling me that when you see players reaching out to the ground with their hands, that's a pretty good sign that they know that they're falling, because they are intending to fall in that way. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good, because if you're actually accidentally falling, you don't have a chance to catch yourself because it's a surprise. You're like, you're going down. So I think if Ali saw this play, I don't know, she could be watching. Ali, hi, if you're watching. I would say that would be one of the tips that I'd be looking for. And it doesn't mean that a player shouldn't be able to catch themselves if they have the opportunity, but when you add that to everything else and the degree of contact that we don't really see, yeah, I think that's where we're at. So for me, this is a play on and perhaps coming back to a card. If you are absolutely spot on sure that this is a dive that needs to be dealt with, there has been 0 times that I have seen in FIH competitions over the 1,000+ matches I've watched over the last, 5 years, where any cards have been awarded for this misconduct. I've absolutely seen a few umpires saying, get up, come on, get on with it. I remember Adam Kearns doing it in Tokyo, and a few others in similar situations. So let's see what you got on the poll. How are we doing? 12:44. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I need this out of the way. I need this, and I need to scroll to see where we're at. Okay, so the results are, we've got a play on and a green card to the attacker for 58% of you. That's big. And then 42% wanted the free hit defense. Be careful about that. You really do need to have a rule that's been violated. We don't give free hits against players who dissent, because it's not a rule. It's not something that disadvantages the opposition. What it does is it's misconduct that calls the integrity of the game into question. And that's what diving is. It's misconduct that makes the game look bad. And we don't want it in the game. So I don't think we have grounds for the free hit defense, if that helps. They very well might be, Benno. I really like that, I really like the idea of even taking the time to go have a talk. So that's what we would definitely do in our situations. We have the radio and we might say something like, you blow the penalty stroke, and then you're sort of, if you're feeling the reactions of the players, especially the team that's been awarded the foul, don't seem to be like really, they're like, oh, cool. That's a good time to then, and you're not stopping time because time is already stopped on penalty stroke, but you're making that motion like, hey, we're going to just take a second here and we're going to go back and figure this out. It's a really good time for that consultation. It's a big moment in the game. You have much dissent to deal with by the team that you've made the call against. So take your time with it, talk to your colleague and get it right. Can you change your choice in Discord? I think you can. I think you can change your mind. And it's all anonymous, right? And I'm not looking for, this isn't science. This isn't binding on anybody. What I'm trying to do is give you an opportunity to exercise your decision-making muscle. And then it puts you in that position where you've invested in your decision. And then I might give you information and counsel you and do some coaching that goes against that. How do you handle that as an umpire? Okay, it's an exercise. And a lot of us, once we've made a decision, because of psychological self-defense mechanisms, we really don't react well to getting information or counseling or advice or people who point out things that would mean that our decision was wrong. Okay, so we do this specifically because I don't expect everybody to get this right. It's nice when it happens, but also it's good when it doesn't happen, because you and me and everybody needs the practice at being wrong. And how do we recover? What are the steps that we go through in order to get to the right decision? How do we make sure it doesn't happen again? And we make that neuroplasticity part of our skill set. Part of just what we do when we go out there, that we are not ego committed to our decisions. We are okay if we're wrong. Okay. You can. Everybody's very happy about being able to change their minds. It's all good. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I thought that was interesting. And again, I don't, from social media, I didn't love this scenario because there's, we get a little emotional about these things. We get a little emotional about what we need to do. And I think we just need to stay detached. We need to feel confident that the criteria is fulfilled, that we're going to do something about it. And we as a community have to agree that we are going to do something about this. And if we as a community do agree and we can take this action soon, it will stop us from going down that terrible slippery slope that sports ball has, that they did long, long ago. Okay. Here's the last one, and I'm not playing this one on sound because I'll get a copyright takedown, because this is this is meta music. And nobody asked me about this, but I saw it this morning and I thought, dang, I'd like to talk about it. This was a hockey.nl Instagram post, so you can go to @hockeynl to find out more about this particular posting, but this is what it is. And I couldn't go back to find a bigger vantage view or anything like that. This is all we have. Okay. And I would like your thoughts. Do you believe this is a good goal? Or do you think this is a free hit for the defense? And I could have gone through a whole bunch of technicalities about whether this is an aerial interception, or if this is a if it is an unclear there's no clear receiver in here. I didn't get in those technicalities. I just said free hit defense or goal, I hope. So feel free to, if you want to color in your decisions in the poll, go ahead. For me, there's a couple of things that I want to point out that make this a more difficult call to get right. And the first one is that we have a positioning issue. And I'm going to get into, I'm going to plug MCP in a moment. People, I am not playing anymore. I'm not playing. We are in the era where now I am telling everybody about the MCP course. And you're going to get so sick of me and you're going to be like, Keely, she's always pumping her course. Well, guess what? Because people don't know about this and they need to, because here is the umpire. Okay. No shade, friend. No shade at all. You just haven't taken the course yet. Okay. The whole Dutch Federation is about to get on board with this stuff, and it's going to be a sea change in the game, and you're never going to have to make this mistake again. But as we go back to the start of this play, it's about the aerial is getting taken off around 7 meters behind the center line, and the umpire is about 4 meters on the other side of the center line. Way too close. There is absolutely no need to be that close to the play. And that's why the umpire gets caught, and it complicates and makes it very difficult for this umpire to get the decision right as this aerial bombs into their circle, into their mission critical area where they have to make big decisions about penalty corners and strokes, and in this case, a goal. Okay. Friends don't let friends get caught high at the center line. Let's see what you have. Thank you, Rabu. I really appreciate that. Stain, the attacker was 5 meters clear when the ball was about 25 meters away. Clear recipient, but there is a long bounce. For Stefan, that's a free hit defense. I'm just gonna pause on yours. Matt wants a free hit defense. Sarab, yep, it can be complicated. Okay, so what we're looking for, first of all, is that let me get into the other thing that makes this call a little more complicated, aside from the position of the umpire, and that's that the ball does bounce. And a lot of people struggle with whether a ball that is bounced continues to be an aerial or not. And the big answer is, it depends. It depends in this particular case as to the height that the ball bounces to and whether aerial rules still need to apply. Hartmut, as far as you can see the situation, the goalkeeper is stable and the receiver of the aerial... okay, I see what you mean. So you're saying that the goalkeeper is the initial receiver because they are where the ball is in a receivable position already, and that makes it a free hit defense for you. Gotcha. Maveno, I agree. Everybody who has an upcoming anything needs the course. I'm embracing it. Watch me. Boo, stay quiet. Player backs potentially dangerously into the goalkeeper, putting them at a disadvantage. The goalkeeper didn't move. Player moved into the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper disadvantage for each defense. Okay. And thank you. You guys are great. The umpires. I would do a combination of wah wah and DJ or horn. Okay, because that's a really good one. And it is a must. George, free hit defense. I hear ya. Undefined receiver. Okay, so for you, it's an undefined receiver, that there is no clear receiver because the ball is going to be receivable in a space that neither player is occupying at the moment. And you know what? I'll take that. I'll take that as well. What I will not take is the answer that the attacker is the initial receiver, because they are moving into the space. If they were in the space where the ball was dropping and that was the receiving zone and they were there first, absolutely. But they weren't there. Look at him jogging backwards into the space. Stain? It is deceptive. And that's why, again, these vertical videos make it really difficult. And you really have to focus. Oh, apparently I've got a low battery warning. You really got to focus on where the best receiver is positioned and who is moving into the space as the ball is traveling. And we are kind of like that umpire, looking at it across at an angle and moving our head and not seeing the ball coming towards us. It makes it really difficult. That said, I think it's definitely a goalkeeper is the initial receiver. That's what I see here. Let's see, the bounce is still an aerial. I did say that at some point, Stefan. And the bounce is high. The keeper is the initial receiver to you, and the attacker comes into the space. The ball is not in control either. And I mean, I'm not really, yeah. I mean, the goalkeeper doesn't even get a chance to touch it because of the contact. If you try to look at interception rules, so if the goalkeeper is the initial receiver and there's an attempted interception here, I would say that this attacker is moving into playing distance of the goalkeeper, and it is unsafe. It doesn't qualify on either ground. It's definitely within the playable distance of the goalkeeper, and it's unsafe for the goalkeeper as well. There's physical contact that bumps the goalkeeper off the ball. So there you go. You want to freshen up. It's the same course, except I'm making some changes to it, and not changes, but improvements. So Taco, you can go ahead and you can have another look at it. It's lifetime access. Go ahead and plow through it again, but I'm adding things about trading responsibilities and just brushing up some of the areas that are a little bit rough. You know, the rough areas, making it prettier. Because goodness knows we want pretty. Okay, let's see what you have here on the poll. Well, that's a little awkward. That's definitely not a poll result. That is my screen. Oh, there is no chance at all that I'm going to be able to get this. So somebody tell me in the results. You go ahead and go into the Discord server and somebody put in the comments what the results were. Because look, my cognitive load is very high in relation to my actual cognitive capacity right now. So my travel day was 5 a.m. UK time until I got home at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, which is math hard 5 to 2 a.m. UK time. And then I unpacked and stayed up and I did the right thing. And I thought, I got this. I felt okay. I had a okay sleep. Woke up in the morning, felt like hot trash. And then the day just got worse. So there you go. Thank you very much, Rabu and Rachel and the Cottage Clan. 80% free hit defense. Good work. Good work. Okay, I hope the explanations helped. I hope for those of you who are on that 20% are seeing what we're looking for and feel confident now that having looked at it again, that you see, the goalkeeper actually is the initial receiver. The best way to see this call properly is not to be side onto it. Okay, positioning is crucial here. You have to be in line with that aerial ball that's coming. And that is why we're doing all of the things like this. Let me see if I can get to it properly. That is why we're doing this thing. Mission critical positioning. There's a QR code. You can look at it. And as I get to the next section when I talk about the UK tour, I'm super confident now. super confident that everybody in the world is moving to this. So you might as well learn it from me. I'm just saying. And I appreciate everybody who has been vouching and giving me social proof. I have a link where you can leave a testimonial if you want. I'll figure, maybe somebody knows where that link is. Do we have any moderators on the chat who can do that? Who knows? Melatonin. Yeah, melatonin's never really done anything for me. I think I'm just drug resistant and I need really powerful things. But vitamin D and sun. Yeah, that's something I failed to do yesterday. Actually, no, I didn't. I spent the morning out on my balcony. I'm pointing at my balcony that you can't see because it makes a lot of sense. But I have a balcony out there, and I like to go out there and sit out there in the mornings and have my protein shake and my toast and do my day planning and all that stuff. And I sat out there yesterday morning and just looked at social media because brain gone. So I tried doing the right thing. Okay, how are we doing for time? While I'm on the announcement channels, let's do this part, because I do want to send out a note of congratulations, and I'll do the video, but you won't hear the sound effect. I would like to congratulate Martin. Martin, our good friend Crazy Science 36 in the Discord server, went and got his level 0 certificate, which is, I think, for everybody else in the world, a level 1. Okay. And you might think, oh, what's the big deal? Level 0. I am so excited because this individual is so excited. Look at Martin. He's like, woo, celebrate, woo, woo, woo. Like, this is what we want. We want people who are proud of what they're achieving, are enjoying the journey and the growth. So I'm here for this, Martin. And this whole community is here to back you and support you and keep you moving along your journey. So thank you for sharing your news. And anybody else who has news that you want to share, come into the Discord. We have a Sellies and Wins. And if you don't know what Sellies, it's a Canadian, it's Canadian slang for celebration. I know it makes sense, but some of you are going, what's a Selly? Yeah, it's actually specifically when an ice hockey player scores and they do a Selly. It's like what their little dance is or whatever. Anyway, we have Sellies and Wins, and I want yours to be in there too. So don't be shy about sharing, just like Martin did, because then I can put it on the show and I can have a feel-good moment for everybody. So there you go. Australia versus Ireland. Interesting. Send me more details. I'll go dig it up. I can't remember many times Australia and Ireland have played recently, and I don't know if you mean men's or women's. Please always specify, because I do not take this as being a men's default. Hi. I'm a feminist, and I require that detail to know. The sound effects worked? What? Okay, great. That's very exciting. Steve, your commission is free duffel bags. That's what you get. Okay, let's go on to our next topic. I wanted to do a couple of plays from Euros to catch up with that, because there were a couple of, oh no, hang on. I'm not taking this. Oh, okay. Well, it's not spitting in disciplinary procedures. It's a VR for goal.
Strong defensive platform. And
at least the video's right. And the Discord channel link, I think, is right. This was the semi-final back at the Euros between Germany and England.
England is claiming that the ball was not on the right spot when the free hit was taken inside the 25. Can you please check?
Okay, so I'm checking if the ball was on the right spot.
Exactly, yeah.
Germany are back in
this
the
is early in the game.
In the middle of this, so it's a
very
little
early
bit
in the
technical,
game,
but was
England
the ball there? So there's a touch on the stick, on the foot. Now it moves forward. Now you could argue that eliminates all three defenders because the ball's too close to them.
Early,
if that ball had been 2 or 3 meters further back, then all of those defenders would have been in play. What's
really interesting about the England men in particular is that they came back from the World Cup and apparently did a sort of self-evaluation about their behavior, their conduct, and realized that their inability to control their emotions and their maybe lack of awareness around best practices for video referrals and some particular nuances around the rules actually negatively impacted their performance in a significant and measurable way, and decided that as a squad, they were not going to do that again, and did some work with the MPUA to get the knowledge that they were lacking, and put in the time, had the conversations, and learned things. So I believe that this was a referral that was taken very consciously. It was not a reflex. I think they've all talked about what kind of who should be taking these referrals, why they should be taking them, and under what circumstances they're most likely to be successful. So I found that very interesting that they went this early for this referral. So I'm interested in hearing what you have to think about this, because the commentators certainly had a view. Mace and Todd were doing this game, and they didn't have a problem with the ball placement for this free hit. And I'm not going to tell you what the result was in case you don't remember. Maybe you do. Maybe you're like me and you remember every single play after you've seen it. But you just have so many plays in your head, you can't keep track. But I'd love to hear what you think about this particular one. And this might be a good time. Hey, there's this thing here. See, look at me plugging stuff. If you haven't, if you're getting value out of this and you're enjoying it, if you're lurking and you're not commenting, hi, I see you. I'd love to see your comment. Just say hi. You don't have to say anything, you know, it doesn't have to be grammatically correct, or you don't have to make a comment on the decision itself, but say hi and let me know that you're here. Again, one of the things I'm going to touch on with my UK review. So for William, it takes out a defender who otherwise would have been goal side and able to back off and make a tackle. That's a very good point and well explained. Thank you, William. And part of this is that we need to assess what the foul actually was, because it does move rather quickly. And I'm going to see if I can pause it right at the particular moment where it happens. And there's 34 likes. That, if there's 33 watching and 34 likes, that's a pretty good ratio. Okay. This, if I can actually get to the moment. Oh, frame rates. You're killing me. Okay. There is a foot that occurs about. I wonder if this will work. Apparently not. There's a foot that occurs around there. It's a little bit more, but I just can't quite bump it properly to get it. It's pretty close to the 23-meter line, though. It's almost about there. And it's a little deceptive because, and then the ball skips away to the left and closer to the goal. So what we're looking at is whether that ball placement, given where all the defenders were, unfairly disadvantaged defenders who were not those who had fouled and cut them out of the play. Just 4 likes. You have to refresh, by the way, because I see 13, which is a very nice number. I am not superstitious at all. Dutchie, good to see you. Let's see. Well, wrong placement advantage for the attacker by taking in the wrong spot. Should the supporting umpire have intervened, or should they trust the video umpire? You know what? In these kind of situations, I think it would be difficult for a supporting umpire to necessarily intervene. This is still more, I think, front side responsibility for the umpire who is controlling that circle. So unless you feel very certain, and I mean, this is just at this level because they have the option of a video referral. We don't. So our equation is totally different, right? So what you would want to do is, in this situation, you have that ability. And the controlling umpire here, Kuhn, he has his self-referral available if he wants it, but England takes their team referral. And that is probably a better option here because I think in either situation, the team would have referred anyway. So a supporting umpire doesn't necessarily add clarity to the situation. Now, if this is us and we're at home, and we are doing shifting of responsibility that fits who has the best view on the play. And one of the units, Hartmut, that I have to add to work on, because this is something that I've really learned over the last year, is that if you are the controlling umpire who traditionally would have that area, but you have a lot of bodies in front of you because of where the structure of the play is, and actually the supporting umpire, because of their really nice interior supporting position, doesn't have a lot of bodies in their way. They might be able to see this better than you can. They might be able to see it better than the controlling umpire, in which case that should be their responsibility to deal with, because we don't need necessarily to be proximate. We don't have to be close to the decisions that we're making. We just have to have a good view of it and a good angle and no bodies in the way. And it's the bodies in the way that cause us to make mistakes. But it's a really good question. And I like that you're thinking that way, because it is one of those ways that maybe at our levels of play that we might be assisting a bit more. And that takes not only both umpires being on the same page about their positioning and where those responsibilities are shifted, but they have a conversation before the game in their pre-match chat, and they talk about, okay, so I'm going to help you if you're physically blocked from it and I've come inside, I'm going to help you over on that side of the pitch. And, let's talk about that. If you have, you really need radios for this as well. It's kind of a really important part of this kind of thing. It takes a lot of work to do this without radios. But that will get you closer, I think, to the point. Now, this is kind of in the middle of everything. You kind of have 6 players on one side of the ball, and that probably means that you have the other maths 14, on the back side. They might be in the way of the supporting umpire. It depends on where they are. If that supporting umpire is traditionally positioned and they're out wide on the other sideline, they can't help at all. They can't help at all, because they're way too far away and they're not going to have the right angle. End of story. There's going to be people in their way. But if they're inside, if they are down that center line, that bisecting line in the middle of the pitch, they can. Potentially. I'm not so completely sure. Taco, what do the rules say about ball placement? What is actually close to the place of the foul? Well, you tell me. Is it strictly defined? Is it an inference? Is it something that is relative depending on whether players are disadvantaged or not because it's closer to the goal and that sort of thing? She asks with a quizzical thing. Sarab and the attacker tried to stop the ball before starting again. They did do so. Let's see. Hang on. So, Sarab, you want the goal because the defenders were trying to break the play. Some advantage should be given to the attacker. Okay. I can understand that. Oh, I skipped a lot here. Hang on. Harmut. Attacker gets advantage by not using the correct play, so no goal for you. And then Sarab. So there is, and I think this is important because I got into a conversation with somebody in my YouTube comments. He went back and he commented on a video that was literally from a What Up Wednesday, like 100 episodes ago. And low battery, sorry. And one of the things that I tried to get that person to focus on was that the initial foul itself, we can't ignore the disadvantage that is caused by that initial foul. And that being overly fussy about ball placement compounds the effect of that foul. And it's all about balance. It's all about balance here. And so I think, Sarab, you've got a nice point in taking that into account by saying that, hey, it was there and the attacker tried to stop the ball before starting again. So the attacker did the right thing in terms of rolling ball issues. Absolutely agree. You don't have to be close, but you do have to be right. Yeah. It's amazing how much easier it is to manage the game if you make good decisions. So there you go. Let's see. When does the supporting umpire intervene? Can I call the ball back to where the incident happened, or do I let the umpire close to the ball make the call? It depends on how you've agreed to handle it, right? So you have to have these conversations, and sometimes it's difficult to have a conversation about a very specific incident that you can't even foresee is going to be something that occurs in your world. So it's about figuring out the general principles that you work under together. And when you do so, I think in this case, you wouldn't step in that moment. You probably wouldn't have a chance because you're going to wait for your controlling umpire to deal with it first, right? You're not going to be like, hey, the ball needs to be here. Like you're just not going to. You're going to be watching a controlling umpire, your colleague, to say, oh, are they going to? Oh, they didn't. Okay, I'm going to wait to see what happens. Oh, it's a goal. And then the protocol that you've established with your colleague. What do we do when I think there's something that you need to take into account in that decision that you've just made? What have you agreed to in your pre-match talk? Are you going to say something on the radio and say, hey, let's take a moment and talk about this? If that's what you've agreed to, if there's body language that you've agreed to because you don't have a radio, and it could be one of the common ones is as the supporting umpire, you just stand very still where you are. You don't go back to your place that you would normally head to if a goal was scored on the other side of the central line. You're just kind of standing there going, hi. Probably don't do this. But if you did, it would be really cute. And then try to deal with it that way. Oh, thank you. It's a great day when I can be smart on jet lag. The first foot seems to be right on the 23-meter line. There's some sticks banging into each other. Would you walk through the play before they reach the 23-meter line? Okay. So what you might be looking at is that chasing defender who the ball goes off their foot. And I think that's Roper. I think Roper's 15. If I'm on drugs, tell me. But he does take a little lean in. He did a little nibble from behind. So you can argue that's a breakdown tackle attempt. Hard to say, like we can't exactly see. It's a pretty hefty, chase back. He's coming from a long way. So did that have the issue? I mean, you could argue that there's a penalty corner just to be awarded right there, but unless he made disadvantageous contact, then that could be why it wasn't. But definitely the foot. And then, yeah. Jeanette, the defender's foot it hit came back around to try to tackle legally. It wasn't on the exact spot within playing distance. But it cut out one defender who was too close. Anyway, did it give him an unfair advantage? Not so sure. And playing distance for Taco, he's always been told it's around 2 meters. Yeah, could be. And I think what's interesting there is that number 3, I think that's Ames, gets caught on the wrong side of the ball because of where that is taken. So he's the one I think who does get disadvantaged here. Very much so. It's actually advantageous for Roper because he's able to be further away in that moment. But I do think Ames gets cut out. Or no, I just saw his number come up. Waller. There you go. Okay, so Dutchy, to be more specific, it's number 26, you think, who can't defend within... Okay. Let's see if I can see where that is. Oh, and that, yeah, okay, and you're looking at 26 there, right? I think that's valid as well. So if you're looking at the whole situation and you look at all the defenders who were not involved in fouling the player, I think you're right. 26 is caught within 5, but wouldn't have been caught within 5 if the ball placement had been correct. So Good, Dutchy. I like that. Thank you. Okay, let's see what y'all have to say. I hope this is 2, and I hope this works. There we go. Holy smokes, friends. It's a 50-50. We just don't know. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. But I really like the way that many of you really took the time to look at where players were at the moment of the foul, who had committed the foul, and where they were vis-a-vis the ball placement, where it was taken from, and where they would have been if the ball had been taken from the right spot. I know, right? Okay. And that's the important thing that we have to look at. We have to look at all of the players around. So your free hit drill is, your right arm goes up, and the first thing that you have to think of is, where is my ball placement? Where am I happy for that ball to be? And then you're looking at where's 5 meters from that. And then you're taking into account who's trapped within that 5, who is not trapped within that 5, because that tells you who can tackle and who have to wait until they've disengaged for 5 meters before they can come in. And then you get to your spot. So you've got this step-by-step through of the things that you have to pay attention to every time your arm goes up. I'm not sure if he would have, but that's okay. Like we don't have to necessarily agree on all that. Alexander Taylor, hello. Being within 5 meters and being able to run backwards ahead of the play is very different from being within 5 meters, but now behind the play. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. But goal side could have backed away. Okay, so I'm really glad how we're working through these things. Waller's not disadvantaged in the sense he missed the attempt trap after the foot. Otherwise, he would have been on the right side of the ball. Not even now. That was probably really clever, and I just don't know. Head. This is really hard work, getting all this right. Anyway, you probably know what my personal feelings are, and I think that was a close one. That was one of those that I think is difficult to go either way. And if you had played that on at our level without being able to go back and microscopically look at all those distances and who was where and all that sort of thing, it's an understandable, complicated decision to make. We need to focus on who is where and who would have been where at the time, at the where of the foul. Good. Okay. Back to announcements. Hey, have you met Mission Control Positioning? Just kidding. Okay. So, I can take that off the screen. So there was a thing that happened over the last 2 weeks. Some people here were around for that. And I went on a little sojourn over to the United Kingdom. It was primarily driven because of this event, the MPUA conference, and what was the 20th anniversary dinner, celebrating 20 years in the MPUA. And here's the fun thing. It wasn't until I got there and I was watching the commemorative video that was excellent that Box and his staff and all the other volunteers had put together to document in a very cool, it was very Netflixy kind of style, how the MPUA came to be. I didn't put it together that when I went over in 2006, the MPUA was only 3 years old. Because I'm telling you, I went over there thinking I was under this understanding that the MPUA was this incredibly well-entrenched organization, and everybody knew it was the finest umpiring organization in the world in terms of structure and platforming and community support and all that sort of thing. Having a GP passport made a big difference as well as to why I chose to go to the UK instead of trying to go somewhere else. Also speaking the language, also having family live there. Those were all big factors, but I really did feel that one of my driving reasons for the choice was that the MPOA was this big thing. And they were only 3 years old at that point. So their reputation as a umpiring organization had grown significantly in that time. And I really enjoyed that video because I saw so many of the people that I'd met over my term, my 6 years that I umpired in the MPOA, and learned so much about their personalities and their roles in what was a truly revolutionary initiative to take control from the defunct, bankrupt England hockey as it was in 2003, and to say, we're going to take the budget and we are going to appoint the umpires. We are going to train the umpires. We're going to educate the umpires. We are going to pay the umpires their expenses and just their expenses. And that's all going to be us because we're going to do it better than you can. And it was a knock 'em out, drag it out, slobber knocker of a fight. And even with British restraint, as all of these figures are being interviewed, you could tell that, man, that must have been quite an experience to be a part of those negotiations as those were going on. And I realized that the spirit of what the MPOA was has really infused what I do as FH umpires. Because everything I learned over there about community, about a network of support, about really putting a high priority on top level education and consensus throughout that organization are the principles that I have brought into, the values that I've brought into FH umpires. And I realized what I've been trying to do this whole time is to bring the MPOA experience to everybody in the world who doesn't have an MPOA. Because when I got over there, it was like, wow, this is what I've been missing all my life. People that I can talk to who are just as obsessed about umpiring as I am, who want to excel, who are passionate about supporting each other and elevating each other instead of cutting each other down. I've needed this all my life. And then when I retired in 2016 from international umpiring myself, I had a choice to make as to whether I was just going to kind of throw all those experiences that I had away, or was I going to take what I had learned and try to provide that for other people just like me all over the world. The deepest irony is that so many people, there are many MPOA members who are in our community. And in terms of the entire existence, we are probably 80% UK folks. And I love you guys. I love you so much. You have no idea. But I was still I'm still hoping that I can build that experience for people who truly don't have it in other countries and bring them in, and you all can lead the way for them. That's really, really why I'm doing all this. Let me check comments before I go into the next part. Oh, what was the outcome of the VR? It was successful. The goal was overturned. Sorry, I should have said that before I moved on. I didn't see the question because I took my glasses off because I need a break. There you go. So that was my experience at the NPOA conference, particularly. The other note that I wanted to bring out, have you met the MCP? Because the first presentation of the conference was from Roel Vennert, who has just been named as one of the Olympic UMs. And you know what he presented on? Positioning. And you know what he talked about in terms of positioning? Interior positioning. I cried tears of joy. I was so happy. And also I thought, is it now going to become acceptable to teach MCP because a very high level Dutch man is advocating it? Just throwing it out there. Just a little bit of a Anyway, so that was my experience at conference. It was awesome. I loved every second. I stayed up till 5 a.m. because I couldn't stop talking to people. I wasn't even drunk. I was just talking. But what I decided to do while I was over there was spring up and spontaneously do a bunch of talks. And I want to send some very deep thank yous to everybody who was involved in making this possible. I have people like Don Arnett at Bromsgrove to thank, Luke Pibworth, who helped arrange the talk at Timperley. I'd love to thank Godders and Jeanette and Liz Spencer for being able to arrange the talks at Ferrum and Reading as well. Without your help, they wouldn't have happened because I can't organize my way out of a paper bag unless it involves doing a live stream. So thank you so much for everything that you did to make that possible. And I mean, it was such a fantastic experience to be able to talk to people in real life. I got myself into trouble at Ferrum because I went up and poked somebody I didn't know. And then it turned into a thing, because if anybody can make an in-person experience awkward, it's me. But there you go. Oh, I don't want to do it to myself, Jeanette. I just know how the world works. But it's okay. It's okay as long as umpiring improves. That's the key. And yes, I wish you could have been there too. It would have been really nice. Although you hear me all the time. And yes, Boo is in there somewhere in this whole thing. So looking right in the center of the collage, the montage here, I got to spend an evening out with the Cambridge Talent Academy on the pitch, which was just so cool because I didn't have to talk for a lot of it. The coaches kept saying, do you want to give a talk about, do you want to say a few words about things? And I'm like, no, I don't. Because I just had so much fun watching the players doing player things. And it was nice just to observe and soak in what kind of skills are they trying to develop, what is important to them, what are the challenges that they're facing, what is their understanding of particular rules, just watching how they were competing with each other in small-sided games and things like that. Those are important times to take, and I was able to do that with Cambridge. And also it was just really fun to meet Boo and Millie and a whole bunch of the gang who have been faceless avatars on the other side of the Zoom. But now you're going to come on camera, aren't you? Because you're not scared anymore. So there you go. And yes, I would really love to do that. That would be really fun. I just ran out of days and energy to be able to do that for sure. Yeah, it was too much. It was just too much. And in addition to just, people organizing things, people hosted me and put me up, and it saved me so much money. It made the trip possible. So, Godders for 2 nights, William hosted me as well. Dawn, I'm trying to think, where else did I stay? And I can't remember. There were other things. I stayed with my aunt for a couple days. I said William. I already said William. Mike McDowell. And that kind of brings me to the last point that I wanted to just sort of share, was just how amazing it was to be able to meet in person or re-meet some of these people. I mean, Mike and I obviously have hung out before, and I know Chalky from way back, but it was really fun to see him umpiring. We had a talk about MCP because he said, hey, do you want to coach me after I watched one of his games? And I was like, no, I don't. Because he's one of those people who, I've looked up to, and he was a senior umpire when I was, doing level 3 stuff. And there he was asking for some feedback. And so I just said, hey, so there's this thing coming down the pipe. I'm pretty sure that as a panel, y'all are going to be talking about it. Your coaches are going to start introducing you to it. Described it to him briefly. He went out and did another game. He comes off and he says, so did I do it? And I was like, no. But you were thinking about it. And that's the most important thing. Andrew. Yes, Andrew. God, I got to send him another note. Thank you very much. And yes, and I was able to hang out and stay with Simon and see jet lag and get to the next phase of fulfillment and all that sort of thing. So it was such an important trip for so many reasons. And I'm just extremely grateful for the reception that I received. I'm just as grateful for the arguments that I got from people who didn't think that I had anything valid to say about certain things. That's okay. That's okay. I like the exchange. I like the challenge. And what I firmly believe is, just like I went through these times as well, I would hear a piece of advice, and at the time I was resistant and I didn't want to hear it, and I didn't figure it out until years later and go, oh, actually, yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So thank you for everything. Last topic that I wanted to cover, and I got the right slide there, thank goodness, was from Euros, really, and I know we're a little bit over time,
Newcomb,
but this one's important for me to cover because there's a conversation going on right now.
Running through that, and it's been given as a penalty corner
in the Facebook,
looking like
on a particular form where a lot of people are getting it wrong.
A point of contention or interest, if you like.
So
this idea of
I'd like to hear what you think about this particular play. Go vote right now, quickly.
But again,
so we can all get out of there.
Austria have done well. Good circle penetration, good use of the body here by Velen to turn.
This is a, ooh, that was fancy. Who did the spin thing? Ooh, that was good. There you go. Oh, Jeanette, you know, it was my pleasure. So the question is, when a player comes from behind an attacker who is in the act of shooting, or perhaps even in the process of, in the act of hitting the ball up the field, and that defender attempts a tackle from behind like that, gets struck by the stick on the backswing, what should be the decision? And I think this particular play is a very good example of the kinds of things that we should be looking at and where we should normally be going with our decision. Let's put it that way. Okay. You will hear from many people the maxim that there is no wrong side to tackle from. There is nothing in the rules that says that you can't try to tackle from behind. And that is absolutely true. Oops, sorry. Absolutely true that you can tackle from any direction, so long as you do it successfully. You do it cleanly. You do it without body contact, and you do it without obstructing the player who is playing the ball. And I've seen this called incorrectly, even at the top levels, because it's so difficult to assign responsibility to a player who gets hurt. But what we have to consider here, if the argument is that the attacker is using their stick dangerously, how are they supposed to know? And why are we putting the onus on the attacker to know that somebody is reaching in from the other direction from behind them? And also, how much of a chance does this player have who comes in from behind to tackle that ball cleanly without interfering with their body or with their stick? Okay, so go have a, I hope you've all voted in the poll, because to me, this is a clear foul by the defending player who's coming from behind. And in this situation, it's an intentional breakdown of play. It is reckless as to the result. It is, I'm going to stick my stick in here, and if I don't get the ball cleanly, And if I get in the way of that player's swing, good, because he's going to score a goal there. And I would much rather the result of committing the foul. That is called recklessness to the result of breaking down play. Just end of story. Okay. And that's a penalty stroke for Godders. I agree. Defender infringed the attacker from making a valid shot on goal. They can't see the defender. Yep, I agree, Simon. Direct interference by the defender. And P.S. Go get your head stitched up and don't do it again. Don't do it again. Okay. And yes, for me, this is a penalty stroke as well. And at this moment, I can't remember. I think everybody's got the referrals, and Austria asked the question, like, maybe, and that's okay. But this is what I wanted to lay out for everybody. And make sure that when you're getting this question out there on the social medias, let's get it right. We should not be having a problem with this decision. This is consensus. There's just one call. Okay. Hopefully the poll results are going to tell me the same thing. 100% penalty stroke. You people are brilliant. Thank you. Oh God, that was going to be so bad if it was like all spread out. Oh, so good. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining in. I had a blast for what I remember. I'm just saying, I'm really like, oof, it's very woozy times. But I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. There is no major tournament going on. I still have some other clips from Euros I could go through. We have the Asian Games coming up, starting on the 25th of September. But the problem with games is that the rights holders may not be the continental federations and the national associations who are hosting. It could be their Olympic committees. So I'm not sure how much of that content I'm going to be able to talk about and share, and whether it's going to be accessible. But if it is, fantastic, because we need to spend more time looking at other continents playing hockey regularly. It's just they don't do as good of a job at sharing it out with the rest of the world as Euro hockey does. So come on, everybody, make it easy for me, because I want to share everything with the world. So there you go. We'll see what we got. Make sure if you see things on the socials that cause you to question, that you would like us to cover, please DM me the links and say, hey, can you cover this on What Up Wednesday? Come into the server. Did you know we have a server? We really do have a server. It is right there in the comments. And you can come in and you can post your question. And if it's a really good one that, it's a good scenario, we have a good video for it, we can kick it around in the server, and then I'll bring it up for What Up Wednesday and really get the discussion rolling with the rest of the community who haven't discovered how awesome the server is and don't hang out there with me the way that they should. Just saying. Thank you again, and infringements ahoy for League. I'm glad you're doing stuff. Can I do a What Up Wednesday on game management? I have a course coming up on game management because it's really tough to do an entire section. Part of my Umpiring Rhapsody talk was on game management, Taco, and it was specifically about personal penalties and the framework for that. But I'll see how I can incorporate that into what we talk about. Because let's face it, talking about cards is something that comes up in a lot of the scenarios. And yeah, we'll sort it out. And then the course will be available. So there you go. I could use clips from that last game at handling. Simon, I don't like to do that. I appreciate you offering it, though. But I take the top level clips because those umpires are very accustomed and practiced at receiving that kind of scrutiny. They want it. They want that kind of feedback. They want the tough love because they know that gets them better and they're the most experienced at it. So I'm always a little just making sure. And you're very welcome, Rabu. It was great to see you. Thank you. And a top show. Thank you. Okay, we will talk about this. We will talk about more things as well. And there you go. Hey, Taco, this is what we do. we're all works in progress, getting better at this, and being able to talk with you all about it every week is why I can do what I do now at the level that I do. And I appreciate the opportunities. I appreciate your indulgences and your energy and your time. It's what makes it all possible. And yeah, we will see you next week. What Up Wednesday, and see you in the server.